So, Liz, thank you so much for joining me today. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. My name is Liz, and I own a media agency that serves what we call the female launch star. So, people with integrity who want to positively influence more lives and make mounds of sales. We have done for you services from Instagram and Facebook ads to email and copywriting and sales funnels. But really, we're just, here to help and educate and help those small business owners that really want to make an impact and influence more people, but don't know how to do that from a marketing strategy standpoint.
Cool. So actually, that brings up sort of an interesting thing, like the female rock star, which I think is a super neat vibe. Are you what do you have a tagline that has anything to do with that? Because you could have drug, sex, and marketing or something. Yeah, which I know is stupid, but it doesn't quite work. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's actually the female launch star. So because
launch.
I'm sorry.
Let me turn up my volume.
Course creators, but rock star could be cool too.
Launch star, got it. That was on me. English is not my first language. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we're gearing towards, those people that are course creators, are have an online program, digital product, they really have an online business. So that's why I just try to share our deeper purpose more than, because everybody under the sun can be, Facebook ads manager, sales funnel strategist. So it's just our way to share that we're trying to produce some sort of ripple effect because what happens when someone can confidently sell their program is they can influence more people, and then, they're in turn influencing even more people, and, the ripple effect just continues.
Yeah. So in this particular podcast, because of course, we're going to try to have you on multiple times so you can share everything you can, everything you possibly can. My mouth is faster than my brain. In this particular one, we're trying to focus on video creation and video ads and how that impacts your audience. So I think one of the first primary questions is just trying to get it out of the way is why are videos important? Why shouldn't I just go and grab a bunch of stock photos, put them in Buffer, and that's my whole business structure?
Yeah, that's a great question. Video content is one of the most engaging types of content that you can produce. Think about any YouTube DIY video that you go and consume when you're stuck on a house project. You can quickly, easily digest it and go about your day and fix that, DIY project that's in your house. And that's because video really appeals to multiple senses. It appeals to the emotional side. It appeals to people that are time constrained. So if you have an audience that's on the go, they only have their car ride to and from work to understand, what you're kind of sharing. Maybe the car is not the best example because you don't want people watching video in the car, but it's quick bite-sized content that you can quickly warm up a cold audience. And, that's why it's really engaging. That's why it's been around for, tons and tons of decades. And that's why people Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and Instagram are putting so much effort into video and emphasizing the importance of it, because they want people to spend more time on their platforms. Which means, consuming more video and spending time with your brand.
Yeah. So when you were saying that, what resonates or what I think of is two things really. The fact that video helps you establish that know, like, and trust factor so much more, right? Because it's almost like going, It's like going on a date, right? You can message someone on Tinder all day long and it doesn't really do anything, but you can, when you actually go on the official date and you meet up for coffee and stuff like that, that's when you can actually get to know each other and be like, oh, wow, this is really cool and fun and whatever. Right.
Right.
So I think that helps establish that connection, just being able to see someone smile and seeing a true smile and not just a fake smile. You can see wrinkles and forehead wrinkles and all, all that stuff. You get that human connection.
Yes, absolutely.
And the second thing is really kind of the idea of like a picture's worth 1,000 words. And if a picture's worth 1,000 words, what can a moving picture be, right? It's like 1,000 words every second. Like it's, and I think with that, like some of these things like podcasts and stuff, I'll take it to an app called Otter.ai, and basically just transcribes everything. And so like a 45-minute podcast can be like 18 pages, like single space, all like blog post content, right? Like it's crazy how much just one 45-minute conversation can produce. And then from there you can format it. And then that helps, of course, with like SEO and things like that. But the point being, like, you're giving so much information in just 45 minutes, let alone if you're doing like a quick tip on a podcast, or you're doing a quick tip on, as you were saying, like just on your Instagram live, like a 2-minute thing can still produce all sorts of different things that people go like, oh, wow, this is really neat and cool. And I got a lot of information in just 2 minutes.
Yes. And also for like your tone of voice, right? For people that have, you know, an online business where they're sharing and wanting to sell like a digital product, or even if they're service-based, you can tell a lot by how you relate to someone just by seeing them on video. It's a great way to warm up a cold audience, and also like students, if you're looking to launch someone or launch a product, because it helps, you know, with the tone of voice that you're using in talking about your product. That becomes relatable, and just how people can quickly see if you're going to be someone that they can learn from. So that is also a great way just to like get students engaged with you if you're like on the cusp of launching someone, or if you're in launch mode too.
Yeah, totally. I think as we were kind of touching base about a little bit ago, like just the idea of opening up an email is so old now that you just kind of skim through stuff. You don't really read the whole thing. And even though people try desperately to add GIFs and emojis and seem relevant and cool, like until you actually see the person and hear them talk, or at the minimum hear them talk, but especially seeing them actually interacting with their guests or whatever, like that's an important factor to determining whether or not you think this person is an expert in their field, whether they're relatable or not to you, you know, all sorts of different variables that really focus on that. So I guess my next question to that would be, like, if you're talking about video, now I think a lot of people, they're kind of confused on what sort of formatting should they use. Should they just, you know, grab their iPhone and shoot something real quick? Should they, you know, buy a $3,000 DSLR and make it super high end? Or should they just, like, as kind of going back to the iPhone, should they just go live or something like that? Like, what do you usually recommend to people?
You know, it really depends on where you are in your business and your budget. I mean, you don't have to limit yourself by saying, I can't do video because, you know, I'm on a $5 a day budget. You can pick up your phone. I mean, the new iPhones are like, have amazing photography and video, you know, even editing tools and things like that. Like, you can produce a pretty high quality video just with your phone. And the great thing about, you know, how content is shifting just in the last, you know, 6 months, even a year, is that people are really thriving and really wanting that authentic content. So they really want, like, you know, for my clients, I've seen videos that are just point and shoot, like, you know, face to camera of someone just picking up a video and talking, perform way better than the overproduced, like tons of production, tons of dollars into, you know, the video. Not to say that that can't work too, but there's a time and place for both, in my opinion. And I don't think anyone should limit themselves by, you know, not just getting started. Getting started is half the battle, you know, getting used to just being on camera or jumping on live, getting used to, you know, kind of like talking to yourself on a screen is definitely something that you could kind of just have to start and roll with it, and know that, you know, it's going to be messy in the beginning, but it's going to be something that really works well for you to get your content out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we've tried both, right? Where we initially, especially, we were trying to do like the high end DSLR and all that stuff, and we invested, you know, money into different lenses and buying a brand new one that's modern that we can plug in and do the OBS and all these other things, right? Yeah. And it was kind of crickets. Like, yeah, it looked pretty as far as the background goes, but something as simple as like as you were saying, just being connected to the audience is in a closer setting, in a
Mhm.
like handheld, just like, hey guys, what's up, and talking to your Instagram, feed. That can actually be just as if not more so, just as good for your business, because
Mhm.
I think part of it too is like people don't want to be sold to. Like it's hard for people to, if it's super high quality and like it doesn't seem like you're connecting to them. For example, I'll give you an example, like a YouTube, I don't know, reaction person or something like that. They still produce like obviously good results, but that's because like the camera, yes, it looks nice, but the camera's like really close to them. You can kind
Mhm.
of see their reaction. You're getting used to their tone and there's all sorts of different factors, right? But if
Right.
it's like super far away and they can see your entire body and you're like, hello, welcome, I want to invite you to my class, like it just becomes this, it's not even just that it's overproduced, it's like it doesn't resonate with you. You just like,
Mhm.
I don't want to follow you as an instructor, like I want to follow you as a person,
Right. Yeah.
you know
Yeah, and that's a piece that, a lot of people skip over because a lot of it is more about what you're saying, how you're saying it, and then
Mm,
what you want the action of the person that you're talking to take after the video. A lot of
right.
time you can have a video that I always recommend talk as if you're talking to one person, not to
Yeah.
many, because that's going to produce way better results, whether you
Mm.
want someone to take an action like an engagement, just like, share, or comment, or if you're actually looking for them to go further with you and purchase something from you. The content of what you're saying inside of it, like what your voice is actually saying, is way more important to me and what my experience has been than actually like producing this massive video that takes months and months to produce.
So what do you recommend in terms of the actual video production? Do you think like, let me film it and then, whether it's edited or not is again unimportant, I suppose, but post it, or should you choose a platform and go live? Like what have you found to be the most successful, or is there a difference between the two in terms of when you should use them?
Yeah, so consistency is going to be your best friend here. Whatever you're picking, whether it's Facebook Live or, you want a YouTube channel, consistency showing up like Facebook Live every the same time and day every single week is going to give you the best results long term.
Hmm.
So making sure that, because then your audience will get used to you showing up, you'll increase your show up rates, and you'll get better engagement, which obviously, like if you're running paid traffic ads, will then in turn help your paid traffic ads as well. So just consistency is going to be, your best friend there.
So do you think that's like probably the number one tip in terms of the lives? Because I think a lot of people, they try to do the lives and then
Mm-hmm.
they maybe got disappointed or discouraged when only like one person shows up, or
Right.
like maybe one was popular last week and you're like, man, this is awesome, and I got 40 comments, and like there was 30 people watching me at any given time or whatever, and then like the next week you pop in, you're like, hey guys, what's up, and you're kind of expecting the same flow, and then one person comes in, then you actually see them leave and you're like, son of a bitch, like
Yeah.
you do you think that the consistency factor is the number one, or is there more to it when it goes live? Like,
Well, I would say that's the baseline.
hmm,
The You really want to have a goal. So let's say you have you're committing to a weekly Facebook Live on your business page. But let's also take that one step further and use the content to test what our audience likes. So, for example, in the example you just gave of, having a Facebook Live where people jump off at, the 2-minute mark. Okay, well, what were you talking about at that 2-minute mark that really disengaged people? Or
hmm,
maybe you talked about something that got like tons of hearts, or tons of likes or tons of people
yeah,
commenting. What point were you talking about? Like, what content were you sharing, or what point of view were you sharing at that point in the video where you're getting tons of likes, you're getting tons of engagement? Because the best thing about a live is you're getting that real-time feedback. So you
hmm,
can not only adjust your content as you're talking on the live, but if, let's say, you're brand new and no one's really showing up yet, well, you can share that. You can boost your Facebook Live to your actual audience for, let's say $1, and you can go and see what content of your Facebook Live is going to then get some engagement from your audience. So you can really test the content before you're running any sort of like Facebook ad, or let's say you're trying to build an audience. Well, what content is going to resonate with my audience? It's a great way to test content and also to see what your audience is actually engaging with on like a warm audience side, people that are already familiar with you, before you go and try to like pay for cold traffic, or before you try to go and get in front of new people. Let's make sure you know what is going to resonate with them best, because then again, that will like drive your paid ad costs down, because you know exactly what content, what captions to write to get them to engage with you.
Yeah, and kind of piggybacking off the idea of turning that live into an actual like piece of content that you can put out there into Facebook or whatever. Like, I think that one of the benefits of that, because I would almost suggest like when you're going live to not so much try and pay attention to the whether people are coming in or out, because I think that can be distracting, because your energy could be like super high initially, and then as you see people leave, you start to, I can see some people getting kind of some resentment there and being like, this is stupid, I don't even want to do this, and your energy level drops, and you're just like, whatever, and then that gives the people who are there even more of a like, why am I following this person, or why am I here? Because obviously they don't even care that I'm here, because you're thinking of it from a macro level. You're seeing 1,000 people show up, but the individual's thinking from a micro level in terms of, it's just me.
Yeah, but that's why talking about the like one-on-one approach, just thinking you're talking to one person, not worrying about the 100 of people that might be on your Facebook Live or not. Like, if you can just think about having a single conversation with one person and trying to help one person, that's really all you need to focus on.
So once you create the live and you're doing all these things, where do you decide, let's say after you take your live, you decide that you want to save it as a video in order to share it. How do you actually share that content? Like, do you just share it everywhere, or do you want it to share it on a specific platforms? For example, if I was on Instagram Live, should I pretty much exclusively keep it at IGTV level? Or if I was on Facebook, just keep it on Facebook? Or should I just like put it everywhere and anywhere to try to get the most amount of attention?
Yeah, so I always recommend, if you can, and if you're comfortable, you can go live on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. Now, at this time, Facebook just made it a little bit more complicated to do that, because you have to have, a third party service in order to go live. But you can, pop your phone in the corner and go on Instagram at the same time, so that you are just kind of leveraging your time and it allows you to be on both platforms at the same time. Yeah. So that you can get in front of both audiences. Some people have a larger Instagram following. However, you want to have your live on your Facebook, on your Facebook business page, so that if you want to turn that into an ad, you can do so at that time. Where if you have like a Facebook group or something, and you're just doing the lives in your Facebook group, there's a lot more complications when it comes to like turning that into a video ad.
Well, but do you think that, so in terms of trying to leverage time, like, do you think it'd be a good idea to kind of like spam the web in terms of just like your video content, just like, even whether it's, if we take ads away for a second, we just talk about just generally putting your stuff out there. Do you think people should go out there and just like put it everywhere that they possibly can? Because for me, what I've seen, or at least as I've gone through this, I've tried the put it on YouTube and put it on IGTV and put it on Facebook and put it here and put it there. And I feel like one of the problems with that is when you're paying attention to too many platforms, you're not really the king of the hill on one. You're constantly going around and I don't know, like to me, I'd rather, and this is just me, of course, obviously you have your own opinion, you tell me if I'm wrong. But to me, I'm like, I'd rather focus on one platform where I can kill it and I can be highly engaged and I can write on people's posts and go into groups and give information and value, and people start to see me as an expert in my field versus, because we only have so much time in the day, and a lot of us are parents or have other jobs or whatever. Like, there's only so much time I can comment, go on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and make a freaking TikTok dance challenge. Like there's just so much time. Only so many things I can do.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, especially for people that are just starting out, because for someone that's starting out, just getting going is half the battle, and just committing to one platform is half the battle. So I always tell, my clients and students when they're just starting out is, let's just commit to, one platform. Obviously, we're going to do the research on the front side to know, is my audience on Instagram? Is my audience on Facebook? Is my audience, more on YouTube? Like, what platform should I start with? What platform am I most comfortable on? So, for me, it's, Instagram and Facebook. That's where I personally spend most of my time. So for me, if I were just starting out, that's where I would focus, because I'm most familiar with those platforms. Right. But I agree with you that, spreading yourself too thin will just get a little bit overwhelming, and it tends to lead more often than not to just burnout and quitting, rather than just picking one, killing it there, and then when you're ready to expand to another platform, you have the means and the bandwidth to do that, because your other platforms are more streamlined and you have the system set up for those, and then you can go and add a second or third.
Well, I think part of it too is the idea of if you do all that and you're going purely organic, then okay, at least you're doing something, right? But if you're also putting out ads, which can be very expensive, they don't have to be, and I kind of want you to talk about that too. But if you're also putting out ads, I want you, again, personally, when I'm coaching somebody, I tell them I want you to be on the platform you're producing ads on, because again, it's more of a brand awareness thing, right? Like if I'm putting ads out on Facebook, but then all of my fun, entertaining, or useful content I'm posting on Snapchat, it doesn't quite work the same way, I'm ignoring the people who are on Facebook for a platform that I'm not getting the same success on, because I'm doing it organically. It's sort of a what's the word I'm looking for here? Synergistic approach. Yes. Whenever it's organic and paid kind of help each other build.
Yes, 100%. So, that's why we kind of initially started talking about Facebook Lives, is because you can, if you're going to be introducing paid ad traffic, Facebook, Instagram ads into your marketing strategy, you can help your ad costs be driven down, your cost per leads. You can drive those down with a higher engaged Facebook page. So the higher the engagement is on your Facebook page, your business page, of course, the higher that engagement is, the Facebook kind of rewards you a little bit for that, because, like we talked about before, Facebook and Instagram is trying to get people to spend more time on their platform. So you can prove to them that you produce content that keeps people on their platform. You're producing content that brings people back to the platform, that they get excited about, that they want to engage with. You're having Facebook parties and all that stuff. If you can prove to them, it's kind of building up your Facebook good juju, you have good mojo going on with Facebook, and they're oh, hey, your content's super engaging. I'm going to reward you by showing your ads to people that are going to and engage and click on your ads, because obviously that's how they make money. So they're just rewarding you for that.
Well, I think kind of going off of that, I'll just use the analogy again of Snapchat and Facebook. If you're producing ads on Facebook, but doing all your organic content on Snapchat, part of the problem, I think, is that you're not able to utilize the organic reach in your Facebook marketing. In other words, let's say I produce a video talking, I don't know, whatever, about some aspect of marketing. And I put it on there and it does semi-well for whatever reason. and it gets let's just say 1,000 impressions, and of those 1,000 impressions, 50% of those people, so 500, watch 50% or more. Well, now I can create an ad targeting those people that did 50% or more, that watched, So
yeah, that's right.
It was organic initially, and then I paid a little bit of money, $5, whatever it is, to retarget them. And then the cost of acquisition diminished significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Now I didn't have to pay Facebook to just ship it out to anybody and anybody. All right, I said anybody. I meant anybody and everybody. There you go.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. So in that sense, I think it's, again, the synergistic approach of, if you can focus on one platform, because as you were saying, they reward you. Every platform does it, right? It's part of their algorithm. They want you to stay on their platform.
Yeah.
So if you're over here jumping around all the time and sending people, hey, I'm on Instagram, but check out my Facebook. And then if you're on Facebook saying, hey, check out my Snapchat. And, like all these platforms, it actually hurts your chances. I don't know if I would necessarily say they penalize you for that, but they might. I don't know. I don't know their algorithm exactly. I don't think most people do. But if you're always sending people around everywhere, the idea of some sort of cross-pollination just doesn't work as much as you would hope.
Right. It doesn't work as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember there was I can't remember her name. It was a celebrity, and she was trying to do, this was like in 2018, I think. She went from Instagram to YouTube. Like YouTube was like, it was when they were really pushing the idea of like creators, and and she had like 750,000 Instagram followers, and she made like a week's worth of content where she was like, hey, go over to my YouTube channel and blah blah blah, like doing her thing. And so somebody who has all these followers, who was engaging in Instagram, told their followers to move over to YouTube, and it only, I think, if I remember correctly, it was only like 11,000 actually did.
Wow.
So I mean, at least somebody did, but out of 750,000 people, only 11,000 took the time to go link in bio, go to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe, like a video, whatever. Like, you're almost starting over. Like, there is no, people aren't just going to follow you around.
Yeah.
Like, they have their platforms and they like what they like. And, if you're not able to stay with them, you're kind of losing in the long run.
Yeah, and that process of like telling people where to go, to click, to follow me here, follow me there, that reminds me that it's the importance of making it really easy for people to take the action that you want them to. So like on a video, if you want people to like your video, only give them one call to action. In that, in that example, she may have given them too many calls to action, and not taking any action at all.
Right.
So if you are producing that video content, make sure you are only asking for one thing at a time with each of your videos. Right.
Yeah. And in general, like, I think you open up emails to you almost have an expectation of like, I'm going to click off of my Gmail because it's not entertaining. It's just there to be there. Right. I'm going to click off of this to watch a video about marketing or about, whatever, soaps and candles or, whatever it is you're into. So that's kind of like where it's meant to be. But like, if you go on video, people are there to be educated or entertained. And like really 99% of them are about being entertained. That's why, viral videos about somebody getting, I don't know, kicked in the head or something. It's just like, oh my God, and they get 14 million views versus somebody being like, so this is how you start a Facebook campaign. They get like 300 views or, 2 views or whatever.
Yeah.
So people want the entertainment value. So if all you're doing is just is cross promoting and just giving them calls to action all the time, buy my stuff, click here to check out my website, all that, it becomes this thing where people just, the click-through rate is substantially decreased. Like they're not there for that. Right. Gmail, Yahoo, they're kind of there for that. There's nothing on Gmail that they're finding entertaining. So they're trying to get off Gmail to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's really why we teach a good mix of content pillars to create, especially as you're like trying to build awareness or trying to build an audience. And that mix is like connection videos, those how-to educational videos, and those like mindset shifts or value proposition, things that you like stand for as a business owner or, the leader, whoever, if you're the face of the business, or maybe you have a product that is the face of the business, having a good mix of those three pillars helps you to not feel like you yourself are selling all the time, and then you can connect with people on different levels to try to really grow that, relationship with them, rather than like trying to push what you're offering to them all the time.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think that's an important way to do it. And I would almost, and this part I don't actually know, but as you were saying, I was thinking about this. There's a gentleman that I've been following for some time, but pretty much only exclusively through email. And one thing that he does is he has what he calls a super signature, which goes against what I'm always preaching too, which is like have one call to action per email, right? But his emails are all value, and then like he'll direct you to like, here's my YouTube video about fill in the blank, whatever it is, creating a funnel or whatever. He has his take on it, and entertaining guy, cool, all that's good. And his super signature has like 4 calls to action. They're like, book a call here, follow me here, do whatever, like that's, but that's always there. But I always open his emails because the email itself is value, and it's not just like a long sales pitch. So I'm wondering, like, I wonder if that would actually be something to work on in your own videos, like to not necessarily have a direct call to action of like, check out link in bio, but instead to talk to people and then be like, and if, to almost like a soft sale, to basically say like, I was talking to my, my trainees or the people that I coach, and, they went, this is how I helped them. And so then people go, hey, let me check out her link in bio. So that way I can, actually I can check her out. I can look her up on Google or whatever and start to learn more about this person, because I find her so entertaining. She provides so much value. You know what I mean? Like, I think people almost instinctively, at least on video, on a social platform, I would almost guess, because it is a guess, because I haven't tried this yet, that you might see just as good as far as like click-through rates and stuff are concerned, just from people organically looking you up and searching you and clicking because they're interested in you, as opposed to clicking over because you directly told them to.
Yeah. And
so, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really good point. And that's really where the power of a story comes into play, right? I mean, obviously storytelling has been around for centuries, but it's how we can tell that story to our audience to make them feel invited into it, rather than feeling like you're pushing just like a fake made up story at them to get them to do something.
Right.
So, bringing them into a results-based story, this has been my sharing, like what your experience has been, or like testimonials are great for that, obviously. Success stories of people that you have worked with are a great way to be able to do that, to kind of seed your product without feeling like you're telling them or, giving them a call to action of like, go buy, go do this, go do that.
So in regards to video, let's say I produced this thing and it was super successful, at least for however I deem success. I want to now make it into an ad. How do I go about doing that? Like, is it, I think a lot of people think that Facebook ads and things like that are either, they've tried it once and they weren't successful. There's probably a multitude of reasons why they weren't successful, but it wasn't a success. And they were like, it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my money. It's super expensive, whatever the case may be. So how do you kind of combat that? What are your thoughts in terms of like the expense and how to actually produce like some good Facebook video content that will get you results?
Sure. So obviously it goes back to what your goal is for that video, because the first thing that you have to do with when you're creating a Facebook ad campaign is to select your objective.
Right.
And the objective of that campaign depends on what your goal is. So before you are running any Facebook ad, obviously the first step in the process is to decide what you want the goal of that campaign to be. Now,
actually, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah.
So talking about that, and I don't know if you have a tidbit on this, but I know when I first started, I couldn't understand the idea of the goals, because everything was like, my goal is for someone to buy and then make me money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just kind of wanted to talk about that to the people who are listening again, because that was definitely something that was hard for me, because I was just like, every single one of these is meant to convert in the end, right? I want people to buy. It's just more like, how am I initially getting them? Am I getting them through website traffic? Am I getting them through conversion objectives? Am I getting them through, engagement metrics where they're going to like my page and follow me, et cetera? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're actually telling, when you select your objective, you're actually telling Facebook, this is what I want you to go and do for me. So for example, if you're picking the engagement objective, you're telling Facebook, I want you to go and find people that are going to engage with my post, that are likely to engage, and I want you to find more people like them that are going to engage. Same thing with the conversion objective. You're telling Facebook, like, okay, I want you to go and find people that are going to click on my ad and actually convert on the landing page that I'm sending them to.
Yeah.
So when you're using a video for an ad, a lot of times if you just have, like, let's say you have a $5 a day budget.
Sure.
That is obviously not a huge budget. So the best way to have your dollars go the furthest for you is probably going to be to select an engagement or video view objective, because then you're telling Facebook, I want you to find people that are going to watch my video all the way through. Right. And then, you're getting more traffic, you're getting engagement on your video, and then you can go and retarget them with more of like a conversion ad that tells them, okay, I know you have watched this video. I know you are warmed up to me already. So then when you're having that conversion ad, retargeting them, you will pay a little bit less for those leads because they're already warmed up to you. You're not paying to, convert them when they're brand new and cold to you. Right.
I think it's almost like a, what's the best way to say it? It's like a delayed gratification, because it's you're initially, you might be like, man, this is expensive as far as like the amount of people who are actually seeing my stuff. Because if you go like, I only want people who are going to see, let's just say 70% of my video, like, but the amount of money you're giving Facebook, you might be like, damn, like I'm paying Facebook and I'm only getting 10 people and but in the long run, right, after they go through the funnel, these are the people that are going to actually buy because they're more warmed up. They were able to pay attention to you, so it's like, it's almost a like a misnomer to only think of to only look at the front end. Like the front end might be a little expensive. It's almost like it's like investing in yourself, right? Yeah. It's like I'm buying this $10,000 stock, but it's because you're trying to sell it, for substantially more on the back end.
Right. And you're qualifying those leads as well at the same time, because by them, getting to a certain point in your video, that's telling you and Facebook, like, hey, these people are really engaged. They're a hot lead. Like, let's send them something else. Let's share something else with them. Even if it's other content, you can create a video view campaign that is sequential, so that after they watch video 1, they then see video 2, and after they watch video 2, they then see video 3. So it's sequential of, you can be very strategic with the content that you're sharing with someone after they see something from you. Yeah. And then that in turn just drives, your total acquisition costs lower, because you're able to qualify those leads and they're telling you, like, I'm really interested. I continue to watch these videos. I must be interested in what you're talking about, even if it's just, to get them on your email list or something. It doesn't always have to be, for a sale.
Yeah. I think people just get tied up really on the numbers, like I remember there was one client we worked with, again, I won't say, their name, but when we first were talking and we were going through some copywriting services, and I was like, all right, let me see your emails, your what you're producing. And she had, like 20,000 people on her subscriber list. And I was like, initially I was like, oh, that's fantastic. We're going to make some money here. And then as I looked, it was like all of her emails were getting nothing, like as far as open rates, click-through rates, like, her last, like one of the last ones she sent out, got 3 clicks out of 20,000 subscribers, but she was like super excited about the 20,000. And she was just like, yeah, I just think the the average numbers don't apply to me. Like I think I should, I think this is actually really good. And I'm like, this sucks. Like this is terrible. Like
is
this.
not good.
No, yeah, but people just get tied up. There's that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you heard this story too. There's this Instagram person. I don't know, but she worked her ass off and she got 2 million followers. And then she goes, I'm going to launch a sweater line. And so she gets the manufacturing done. She does all that stuff. She puts it out there to her 1.2 million followers, and she gets 6 purchases.
Wow.
And that's it. So it turns out that booty pics just aren't the metric to use when it comes to followership. I should know. I try to post them myself, like do a little Instagram thing. Doesn't work.
Doesn't work out for you?
Not at all.
Did you get some unfollows instead?
Dang, vicious. No, I didn't get unfollows. Thank you. God, dog.
Followers don't pay the bills. That's what we always say.
There you go. I did get a sugar daddy request though, which was awkward. Yeah, it was. So him and I have been going on for a while now. So I guess if I'm going on, if I'm talking about videos and all that, and I was a newbie, like how do I get the best kind of click-through rates possible? Or is that kind of like what you were talking about before?
Yeah, so the best way to start when you're brand new is, and this is partly of our 5-step process inside the agency, is first you're going to start on the organic side. So getting that consistent weekly content up, on your Facebook business page, even if you can't do lives, like let's just start with recording, because then we can share that to your warm audience, find the video that is going to prove to be the best for engagement, the content that's really speaking to your audience. And then we can flip that and turn it into an ad and share it with a cold audience. So looking for people that are your ideal customer. Because then once you already know that content engaged well with your warm audience, you can flip it and serve it to a cold audience for, something as little as $5 a day, and start to get those engagements with an engagement objective.
Okay, Liz. So I think this was a really great episode so far. Why don't we recap what we learned here?
Yeah, that's a great idea. We went over a lot. We covered a lot. So here are your action steps going forward. Number 1, most importantly, commit to weekly video content. So pick a day, same time and day every single week, and produce that weekly content. Remember, it doesn't have to be, super produced. It can just be you and your phone talking, chatting. Just act as if you're talking to like your sister or your brother or your, best friend. Pick
as long
one.
As you're producing it and being and being consistent.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Number 2, pick one single platform. We're not trying to be, everybody and be everywhere. We're not trying to be Gary Vee here. Like, let's just pick one platform,
Right.
Preferably Facebook or Instagram, and commit to that weekly content every single week. Don't be afraid to, bring your personality into it. I would say that's tip number 3. You're going to have a lot more fun if you keep it casual and, bring your own personality to light. And then lastly, to increase your reach on your content, to really leverage your time, flip your favorite, best performing content, that weekly video that, got a bunch of likes, a bunch of engagement, flip that into a Facebook ad, run an engagement ad for, as little as $5 a day, and, start to build and grow your audience that way.
Boom. Mic drop.
Boom.
Liz killing it. Okay, so Liz, why don't you plug yourself? Well, that sounded awkward. All right, hold on. Let me backtrack that one. Liz, why don't you tell the audience where they can find you, anything you're going to be doing in the future, so that way we can all follow you.
I would love to be friends, and I hang out most on Instagram, so you can follow me there at Liz Boer, LizBoer _com, COM. So you can hang out with me there. I'm also on Facebook at LizBoer_com as well. So those are my favorite places to hang out, and I would love to connect with you there.
Awesome. And yeah, I'll go ahead and put the links in the show notes for everybody. So that way it's just a click away for them to follow you and check you out.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to make some more Insta friends.
That was pretty lame, but there you go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Liz. Really appreciate it. Guys, if you like this episode, please feel free to rate us, give us 5 stars, go check out Liz, and we'll see you on the next time. All right. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.